I rise to describe my concerns with the recent United States Supreme Court ruling in the Hobby Lobby case, and also to describe my support for the Murray-Udall legislation, which I'm co-sponsoring and which we will act on later this week. This isn't a case about religious freedom. It's a case that's very focused on attempts to reduce access to contraception throughout American society. The fact that the Supreme Court took such care in the majority opinion to say, don't worry, it's not going to apply to that, tells me that this is not a case about religious freedom, because if it were a case about religious freedom, a sincerely held religious belief about transfusions or vaccinations would be equally implicated by this case, and the court instead is very clearly telling the world, don't worry, you don't need to worry about this stuff. So it's not about religious freedom. I read this case as a very candid admission that what the case is really about is contraception access. There is an unfortunate legal movement in this country that is kind of surprising, whose focus is to deny women access to contraception, even though access to contraception has been constitutionally protected in this country since 1967, nearly 50 years. Contraception is not only important for women, it's important for society. Madam President, contraception and the access to contraception is achieving important social goals. From 2008 to 2011, just in 3 years, the number of abortions in the United States fell by 13%. And teen pregnancy in this nation has been falling steadily since 1991. I want to say a word about religious freedom because it's critically important. I'm a lifelong Catholic. I served as a missionary with Jesuit missionaries in Honduras in 1980 and 81. And I'm a Virginian. And it was a Virginian, James Madison, who wrote the draft of the Constitution, including the First Amendment, the Bill of Rights, that protects our right to religious freedom. Madam President, as you know, if a church or a religiously affiliated institution or an individual or even a corporation has as their view that contraception is wrong, they can take to the airwaves. They can run a newspaper ad. They can go stand on a street corner. They can encourage anyone they want by explaining the merits of their view and hoping to persuade someone that they're right. And they are protected in doing that. They're protected in their religious liberty to try to encourage people to follow their points of view. But when these entities try to go beyond that, and in this case corporations, and use legal mechanisms not just to encourage people, but whether it's lawsuits or personhood amendments or other things that we see popping up in states and here in this body, not just to discourage use of contraception, but instead to reduce access to contraception for women, even women who do not share their moral point of view, who do not share their particular religion, then I view that as extremely troubling and actually contrary to the notion of religious freedom that is established in the First Amendment. Advocate your moral position, but don't force it onto people who have a different moral viewpoint. So, Madam President, in conclusion, I support the bill that we will debate tomorrow because it will protect the access to contraception. Whether people choose to use contraception or not will be up to them and to their own medical and their own moral calculation. And that is as it should be in a society that is supposed to protect the rights of all.